Okay guys, so today we're going to talk about the offset function. Very important function from the dashboard perspectives, from the the summary reports. So a lot of times, this function we use, and this is not a normal function. This is very powerful. Even in Excel VBA we use it a lot. Uh, so offset actually comes in the two forms. Right, you can see here I got the reference, a row, column, height and width. Now height and width we will talk later because they are optional and they have a different purpose, but we are going to talk about first the reference, rows and the column. So what is basically offset? Offset is a function which helps us in giving the movement to the cells. If you want to move your cell from one, if you want to move from this position to this position, or maybe from this position to this position, then you can use the offset. Okay, so for example you have a data here 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and then let's say I write here data 4, 5, 6, 7. This is my data, for example. Now let's say we want to get the value called maybe let's say we want to get 600 here, okay, but using the offset, not directly linking the cell or not using the indirect, right? There are several ways of getting this 600 here. You can link it, you can use the indirect function also, right? And now today there is one more function which is offset. Now guys, offset actually, when you write the offset function, basically we are going to talk about the reference, rows and column, three parameters. Now what is a reference? Reference is all about that from where you want to start. From where I want to start, starting point, right? Now for example, if I say I want to start from here and I want to pick up the 600, this value. So if I start from here, then you have to tell that how many rows we need to reach to this E6 cell, right? So because we need to go down, so we have to find out the number of rows in the positive, obviously, way. If you go in the upward direction, it will be negative. Now if I start from here, generally people say that this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, right? But you have to remember one point, that this row function starts from 0 actually, right? Which means that the cell which you have selected right now from where you are starting, that is actually going to be the 0 row, right? So if this is 0, this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So then you say row number 5, and then the column, how many columns you need? Well, you are on the same column, so you just go and write here 0, because you got to be on the same column. So this is how it is. You got the 600, right? So what you have seen in the offset, we have a reference. Reference is your starting point. It is your starting point, right? And then after it you have a rows and then columns, right? Rows means that how many rows? How many rows you need to move down, and then the column, how many columns you need to move from left to right or right to left. Same way, move down, or maybe you can move up as well. Let's do that example. For example, this time what I say, I'm looking for 600, right? I'm looking for 600, but I'm just going to start from maybe somewhere from here, let's say from here. Okay, so how you write offset? Reference, this is my reference. Let's say reference can be anything, guys, you know, it depends. I mean, right now it can be anything, but when we do some exercises on offset, perhaps then you will not have a choice. But that idea is, if you change the reference accordingly, you will have to check the number of the rows and the number of the columns as well, right? So if I start my reference as, let's say, E9, then I want to go to the row. So how many rows? Well, if I go up now to capture the 600, this is going to be 0, 1, 2 and 3. So I give it -3. And then what is the column number? The column is going to be 0. Because I'm on the same column, right? So I say that from E9, please move 3 rows up and be on the same column. That is how it is. If let's say you have to start from somewhere, maybe let's say we start from here, for example, from here, from G7, which is my reference, you know. So how many rows I am supposed to move to go to the 600? You have to just move one row, right? And that too in the negative direction, because you're going up. So you will write here -1. And then comma, how many columns? So column is, this is 0, this is -1, this is -2. This is how it is. This is how you write offset function. It's all about the movement. For example, let's do a couple of more exercises. Offset. This time I say I want to start from here, C1, and you want to get again maybe 600. So I start from here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 5 rows I'm going down. Remember, this is my 0 row. Okay, a lot of people get confused here. They also forget this point. This is very important. Please remember this point, that the cell from where we will go and start the, you know, this the journey, the movement, you will have to consider that on the 0 point, 0 row or 0 column. So I go 5 rows down. Actually, when you say 5 rows down, so that means you're actually moving 6 rows, you know, down, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, and then how many columns? This is my 0 column, this is my 1 and this is my 2, right? Because I have to go here. It is positive because I'm moving left to right, obviously, and you have your 600. This is how we use the offset function. If I want to get this 600, I can directly link the cell. I can use the indirect also. I will not like to go, I will not like to use this offset function here, because this is a little complicated, you know. Why would I just go and use the offset to get this a simple value, you know, this value? It can be done in a simpler way. So it's not about that. It has its own use, and trust me, this is the one of the best function people use in the dashboards if they know the Excel pretty well. So all advanced Excel users, they use the offset a lot, right? In fact, on my channel YouTube also, if you go and check the videos on the offset, under the playlist Excel offset, you'll find a lot of exercises there, right? So now we go and talk about this. You know, let's talk about the real use of this offset function. So let's say you have here a data, and I write here data. Let's say I write here team leader. Let's say we have our team leaders, and then in the team leaders I write Ajay, and I write Hemant, I write Bhardwaj, and I write let's say Amy. So these are my 4 team leaders, or maybe we can add more. Let's say Tom, Prasad. That's it. I think this is enough. So we have these team leaders available here. Now what we want to do, I want to actually show the drop down, which if I select the drop down, I will go and put these all the team leaders. Maybe here in the drop down, Alt DL is the shortcut key if you remember, and we go in the list and I put the source from here because they are not repeating, they are not duplicate, so we can use this. I go and select that. Now my idea is that whenever you go and select a team leader from here, I want that it should actually pick up the agents automatically. For example, if I go and select from here Hemant, then this TL should start reflecting my associate list here automatically, which we're going to write here, right? So let's say these are the agents, these are my team members, right? So we have Ruby, we have Cheryl, Jarvis, let's say Matt, and Anu, Ruchika, that's it, right? In the Hemant we have let's say, so I'm just going to actually write some name here. Okay. Now you can see here all the TLs have the different set of these the agents, associates, right, team members, right? Some have 3, some have 4, some have 5 and 6. So I'm gonna make sure my formula should pick also. I keep my this data range because this is going to pick up all the agents. Now how we are going to do it, let's go and check that. Now guys, you see, if before we go for the drop down, let's say this is a fix, this is Hemant. Now if this is Hemant and I want all these names using the offset, what options I have? I go here and write offset, I go and give the reference. My reference is, let's say, going to be this, from this reference. Now I want this person, Ritika. So this is on the row number 1. So I go and write here row number 1 and then the same column 0. You got the Ritika? And then offset, reference, again same cell, but this time the row would be 0, 1, 2, 0. You got this name and now offset. Again you go here and now 0, 1, 2 and 3. Sorry. Yeah, 3 and then 0 column. And same way you go and say that from here please go 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and so on. The process, you will follow the same process for the rest of the cells as well, right? Now if you see that what is happening, basically your row numbers are changing. Here you have row number 1, here it is going to be row number 2, here it is row number 3 and so on, right? So you have the row numbers changing and the column is not changing because all the names are on the same column. And also if you look at this, I'm also not changing the reference, it is D4. So if I have to automate this task, because if I just go and remove the equals to sign, Control H, and I just go and replace all, you can see that these 1, 2, 3, 4 are created. So you have two ways. You can write here 1, 2, 3 and 4 and you can link these cells with the row number parameter, right? But I have another idea. I will not use 1, 2, 3, 4. we have a row function if you remember. So what we will do, I will simply go and, because I need the 1 here, I go and say that I need the row number of A1 cell. You get the answer, right? Because row number of A1 cell returns 1. And when I drag this down, I want to freeze this D4, right? Because you know guys, if you are on the D4, from here you want to go to the row number 1, and then from here you want to go to the row number 2, and from here then you want to go to the row number 3, and then from here you want to go to the row number 4, and then from here you want to go to the row number 5, and so on. I mean, getting my point? That is how we will go and create this function. We have already created actually. I just go and drag it. So the point is, I'm going to freeze D4 because D4 should not change at all, because as I said, from the D4 you want to go 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row down, right? And this row number of A1 will return me row A2, A3, A4, A5, and your basically the row movement parameter, the row parameter will keep on incrementing, keeping the column number same. So when I drag this down, you will get your all values, right? Now obviously this is 0 because we don't have any number here. If I just go and write something here, let's say go and write here Sunil, you can see that I got the value. Right? So this is how it is. You start getting all the values. Now the point is, this is understood, but the main thing is that if I change the drop down, we want to change this list automatically without VBA. So how you are going to do that? Now if I have to start from Bhardwaj, again, I think the best answer which I can expect from you is, you would say that now please go and change this offset D4 to offset E4. Rest will remain as it is, because if I start from E4, my row numbers will remain same. I need row number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, and so on. And I want to be on the same column as well at the same time. And for this time, the same column would be column E, because I am on the E4. So when I press enter and I double click, this is what I get. If I go and change this to AMI, again what will happen? You have to change the offset. You got to go here and you got to change this, right? Now the question comes, two questions come. The first is, do I really need to change this? Can I not fix it? And the second question is that, how I can make sure if I have to change, can we change this using some formula? I mean, this reference, if we can change automatically depending what the user has selected, then that would be awesome, right? Now the first answer to the first question, whether we want to, can't we fix it? Well, actually guys, you have to fix it, because in Excel, I mean, you can't go to this cell and then this cell and this cell by using some formula, right? You have to fix this. You have to give your reference, some specific reference, and you have to give some specific reference, and from that reference you will tell that where is my column, that for example, if I say that I want to start from here, let's say, right? Now guys, understand, that if you start from this point, so if I go and change, I say that I want to start from B4, then what we can do, the column part which is right now looking 0, this can be changed, isn't it? For example, if I select here Ajay, then my plan is that from here, please go to this cell. That means from here, go to the column number 1. So what will happen, if I say that go to the column number 1 and the row number 1, what will happen? Row number 1 would be this, and the column, if I say I have to go to the I have to move by one column, that will be Ruby. And similarly, if I go and select, let's say, Hemant from here, then what will happen, I can say that from this cell please move 2 columns. So this is 1 and this is 2, and then 3 columns, and then 4 columns, and then 5 column, and then 6th column, so that is what we need. And which function can return this column number? Match function. So what you will do, you will say that every time when I pick up this Hemant, I will go in this table and I will find out the position of that person. So you can see here you got the position as 2. So this is the first part is done. The columns, this is value 2 we are going to use in this table. So if I go and select, let's say, Amy, you can see that I've got my 4. If I go and select Prasad, this is automatically changing, right? So we have the column movement done. This will make the function dynamic now. So how we will start? We will say offset and go in this cell. Let us freeze the cell because we don't want to move this. And then how many rows? Well, the row would come obviously from A1. It doesn't matter what you select in the drop down in the team leader. The funda is very clear that you have to pick up the row number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on, So what will be the column number now? Well, the column number is going to be this one. So basically what you are saying is, let me freeze this because when you go down, K4 will change to K5. We don't want that. So basically now you are saying that this is your reference. From here you will go 1 row down, which is going to be this row, and then 6 columns. So 6 columns means that this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, and this is 6. And finally you have your answer. And now when I drag this, this is what you will get, right? So now if I go and change this to Hemant, you can see that I have got the list here. My list starts reflecting here automatically. If I go and change maybe this Hemant to Ajay, again I have a change in the list. You know why? Because you are saying that from B4 go 1 row down and then move 1 column to the right. So from here the column 1 is this, row number 1 is this. So Ruby comes, and same way when you go to this cell where we have Sharon, if you look at this formula, again it says that now from B4 row of A2 returns 2. We have seen that. So 2 is here and 1 is here. So we are saying move 2 rows down, which is 0, 1, 2 and 1 column. This is the column. So basically you're giving the directions to the offset, how it is supposed to go and pick up the values. So this function we can use in the reports as well. Every time you change the drop down, you have the different values. Now obviously this 0 doesn't look nice. This 0 does not look good, and I have to change this. I have to make it invisible, right? So I will simply go and write that if the output of this function is going to be 0, then give me a space, and if it is not the 0, then let us execute this function again. If you guys remember the if function. So now I go and drag this and we have the values. This is cool. Same way you can also go and create the serial numbers, just in case if you want, let's let's do this exercise as well. So I go and I go and put the serial number here. So serial number, obviously you can see that if you have a value here, if this cell is not empty, then I want to get here row number of A1, otherwise space. If I drag this, I think I should be able to get the serial numbers, right? So I'm just trying to fill the series number. If I have a value here, it should give me the row of A1, which is 1. Here it is going to be obviously row of A2, and here it is going to be row number of A3, you know, the cell referencing part. So now the serial number will go hand in hand. So you have the Hemant, you can see all the serial numbers are coming. You go and select Prasad, you go and select whatever, I mean, you know, you go and select, that's gonna show the names accordingly without any VBA programming. So this is the actual use of offset function. Okay, now we will go and so now let's talk about the another option. This reference, you know, this reference part which I have given here, this match also, there are two things. This can be something else as well. For example, I'll show you the idea. But before we do that, I want to show you one thing, that you know, this K4, I will not go and link this with the K4 because I prefer writing match function inside the function. That would be great, but still I will not keep this so that you can practice. But here I will go and write the offset function in this way. Offset reference, freeze the reference, row number, row of A1, and then the column number. Let's go to the formula bar here. So column number would come from match. We can directly use the match, you know. So what I want to match, this value. You want to match this value in this table and 0. This is how it is. And you go and freeze the table C4 to H4. Keep your M4 also freeze, because when you go down, M4 should not be M5, you know. So that's how this is also the offset with the match. And then you can put the 0 0, which I'm not going to put, that you can do. But what I'm saying is put the match function inside the offset. Unnecessarily don't use the another column. So first practice like this and then go and start writing the match function inside it. Simple, you know. So if I go and change this, you see the list is also changing. Now, one more thing. Do I really need to change? I mean, do I really need to fix this reference? I can show you guys without the reference, without fixing this reference. Without fixing this reference, I can still get the result. Can we not say this thing? Offset. This is my reference. Row number, row of A1, and the column number. So column, for the column you can use the match as I said, right? Match. And then this and this and 0, right? You got the same. I've written the same function, but this time what I will do, I will not freeze the B4 guys, and you will be surprised to see that still we are able to get the value. Okay, but you know what? I will go and freeze this. For the first time I am freezing this. I'm doing entirely now something opposite to what we did so far. If I drag this, you can see that you still have the values, isn't it? Now what is happening? You know what? If you look at this function, I'm saying from here B4, go to the row number 1 and the column number 3 because match will return the 3 for the Bhardwaj. So it goes to the row number 1 and 3 column 0, 1, 2 and 3. You got the good pick? Great. Now in the next time what happens, because my reference is changed, it is no more B4. If I am on the B5 and I want what? Obviously I want Mansi here, right? So Mansi is on which row number if you start from here, from B5? Obviously the very next row, which is 1 again. So that's why this is row A1 is being used here. Because you know, if I have to explain you this without going in the technicality of this formula, this is how I can explain. This is how you can explain to somebody that this is my starting point. We are saying from here go to the next row, which is 1. So it goes here. Then when the formula you drag down, reference becomes this, and then again you say go to the first row. So what is the first row of this cell? This one. And then from here, what is the first row? This is from here. What is the first row? This is from here. Now this becomes my starting point. What is the row number 1? Obviously this row number 1, right? So if you go and change the reference, then accordingly you have to think on the row part as well. Now here you don't need the row number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 going down, because previously we kept this as fixed. So from here if I have to go to, you know, maybe this person, you know, I have to go how many rows? 1 row. If I have to go and, you know, from here if I have to go and pick up this person, then I have to go how many rows? 2 rows. And from here if I want to go here, how many rows I need? You know, I need 0, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if I have to, if I say that I want to go from here and I want to pick, you know, this person, this value, Gurpreet, then how many rows I'm supposed to move? 1. But if I go here and now I say I want to pick up this name Mansi, then how many rows you are supposed to move? Obviously you are supposed to move 1 row. And from here if I am supposed to go to the next row, this is the 1. And from here if I am supposed to go to the one, you know, this Jyotsna, I am supposed to move how many rows? 1 row. This is how you can build this offset function. Different ways. Now if you want to, let's say, start from here. Now if you want to start from here, you know, instead of here, let's say, so I don't think so this would be a good idea, because if you have a simple way of doing it, you will not definitely like to create it in a, you know, complicated way, because generally, you know, even you know, when we write the formulas, we always work left to right. This is our natural, you know, direction. But anyways, who knows, maybe I'm not able to think of that situation. If this situation comes that you want to start from here, then how will you do it? Well, I think if you start from here, this becomes the column number 1 to you, -1. This is -2, this is -3, -4, minus, you know, and so on, right? So in that case, guys, row function will remain same, because you have to go down. So for the row you can use row of A1, A2, A3, A4. But to give the column movement also, I can use the minus sign here, you know, that is also okay. I can just go and, you know, put the minus here like in this way, and I can concatenate this. But the idea is, what we need is, because if I start from here, for example, let's go here, or maybe we can go and copy this entire thing, paste here, and now I go and create the drop down. Again, so this is my drop down. I press OK. Now you got the drop down. Same thing now we need it. So let's do it. So for example, I say offset. This time I want to start from here. Now if you want to start from here, now this is Hemant for example, so obviously I want to go one row down, so I use A1, right? And then the column number. So column number now, you know, if I'm starting from here, this has to be 0, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4 and minus 5. For the time being, I'm just writing minus 5 manually. Minus is not a challenge for me, but the 5 is a challenge for me, right? So we have to think on this now. If I use the match function, it will not help, because you use match from, let's say you use the match, you pick up the Hemant, and if you think that you start your table from here, it's not going to help you, because you know, if you start your table from the right side and you go to the left side, does not matter. Excel, you can see Excel starts from the D2, not from I2, you know. Excel will start from D2 only. So eventually the answer which you will get, that will come from this side, not from that side, right? So for this we have to think. Now what I can think right now is, in this particular cell, I mean in this particular range, match will not work at all, because my order has to be different. So rather rather than doing that, can we not simply do one thing? You know this is my column number 4, right? I mean I'm on the column number 4. So but I mean in this table, if I go this, how many numbers we have? 1 2 3 4 5, right? I can write here 5, and then I can go and say that minus 1, you know, and then you can quickly go and drag this. You got the 5 4 3 2 1 and 0, right? So that's cool, that's okay for me. Now what I will do, now I can further go and I can, you know, change this to 6 if I want to make 6 5 4 3 2 1 series. That's okay, right? That's all up to me, because if I go and use the 5, this becomes 0. Now if this becomes 0, then you need to understand that the reference which you have given this has to be this, because 0, you're going to use the 0 for this Basant, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this as 6 only. Okay, you got the 6 5 4 3 2 1. Now let us go and delete this, we don't need it. Now in this particular area, this minus 5, what you can do is you can simply, I guess, use the lookup function, and lookup can, you know, return the column number to you, isn't it? So to work with the lookup function, I mean I'm talking about the VLOOKUP, instead of using this 6 5 4 3 2 1 here, maybe you can go and create it somewhere here, or maybe on the last row, 1 million row. That's all up to you. So I will simply go and say that, because I need the column number, and you need the column number basis what the user will select. So I go and pick up this N3, and in the N3 I go and use the VLOOKUP like this, right? Now the question is, I thought as I'm speaking that VLOOKUP should be used here, but the point is your lookups are moving in the horizontal direction. So when I use the VLOOKUP, I immediately realized that what the column number will I give, because you can't give any column number here, you know, because your lookups are horizontal, they are not in the vertical direction. So my choice here would be VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, horizontal lookup. So I go and use the HLOOKUP. So this is a great way of using the HLOOKUP. This is a good question. So I say HLOOKUP, and I look up this particular N3, and now we go here and we will pick up the row number 14. You can see here 14th row it shows me 14 row and 6 columns. So obviously I need the row number here. Now VLOOKUP returns, VLOOKUP asks here for the column index number. If you remember, HLOOKUP asks for the row number. So as I said, my row number was, sorry, I just forgot. Let me select that again. 14th row. Okay, 14th row, and then exact match 0. Right? So you have now automated the entire task. Okay. Now, why I'm not able to get the value? Because I think what is happening, if you go to the formula bar, I know the reason, but I want to explain you. When you use the row of A1, so you start from J2 and you go in the row number 1. What is the column number you want to go? So this HLOOKUP will pick up Hemant and it looks for the Hemant and it is going to return me 5, right? So if you go and read this function, it says that from the J2 you got to go 1 row down and 5th column. Well, I'm okay with the 1 row because I know 1 row would be here, this one, Richa, Akshay, Amit, Gurpreet, Ritika, Ruby, whatever. But the column number, let's go and check that. So 5 is the answer. So if I start from J2, this is the one, right? Let me go and give it a color. So what is the 5th column? This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, right? The 5 is coming. The only thing which I'm doing now here, I mean, this is correct because if you are saying 5, you're moving from here 5 columns, but the point is you're not moving actually in the reverse direction, you know, because you have written here positive 5, positive 5. So positive 5 means what? Obviously that means it is going to actually go from here 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, you know, here. So if I just go and write something here, you see that this is the value it is picking, guys, because it's moving 5 rows but it's moving left to right. So the only thing which I'm supposed to do now here is I will use the minus sign with this, the column, because your directions are moving in the reverse direction. So I just go and use the minus sign, okay, and finally you have your all the values coming here. Now the question is, you want to freeze this or not? That's all up to you. You know both the ways. If I go and freeze this, I have to make sure this should not be freezed. If I will not freeze this, then I have to make sure this should be freezed. It depends, you know. So I prefer using freezing this, let's say J2. And when I go down, my row A1 should change to row A2, and then A3, and then A4, and then A5, and so on, you know. So the row numbers will change accordingly. And now I use the HLOOKUP. In the lookup N3, I go and freeze this. This is how I'm going to freeze this completely. And now I go and drag this. So finally you have your list. Okay, obviously these numbers are also coming. This should not come. So keep your formula to only that range. So now let's do the testing and it works. So now you can, as I said, you can put the here if function. If the entire function returns me, if this entire function returns 0, then we do not want to do anything. We want to display blank. Otherwise, this function should get executed. Okay, so I got the problem here. I think this is my typo error. If function single I, and now I go and drag this. This is how it is. So as I said, starting point you can decide, but make it simple. I still not, I mean, from the exercise perspective, this is a good way of doing it because we have seen how HLOOKUP we have used, and also the negative part, but I will prefer the first method because that's more simple. But you should know, if somebody asks you, or maybe if you appear for your Excel interview and they kind of ask you this, you should be knowing the answer. Now the second part which I want to do of the offset is those two parameters which are optional parameter. This is the first part of the offset is done, guys, right? So next time when you want to use in your dashboards, you can use it. We will further go and use this function, don't worry. I still have other examples which I will be showing you. Now let's go and talk about the offset again. So this is my offset 1. Now I again go table, let's say, which should give us all these row numbers. Now you know that if you do this, if you just go and select the entire cell, press enter, this is what you will get. E1 to E7, if I select, if I go and press F9, I'll see all the values. F9 is a shortcut key. I had used this previously also. Just to remind you, F9 expands the formula, right? So I have linked this sheet and you got the values here, 100, 200. Now the same values we want to get using the offset. Then we will see the use of that as well. But how are you gonna get it? Offset. First, if you want this entire table, you need to decide whether you want to start from 100 or from 2. You have two options. You can't start from mid, because if you start from mid, either you can go down or up, but we want to actually go in the downward direction. Let's say if you want to go in the downward direction, then you have to start your reference. So from where you will start your reference? Let's say I want to start from here, because you need 100 first, right? So if I need 100, guys, what would be the row number? 0, because I want the same value. I want the value from the same cell, and then column 0. I go and press enter. This is how it is. So once you have got this 100, what is the next thing you want? Remember, I'm writing 0, 0 because I am on the same cell, guys. But now we need the rest of the values as well. So now you go and use the height. Height means how many rows you need. How many rows you have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now height will not start from 0. Make a note of it. Okay. Height and width never starts from 0. They starts from 1. This is again the point of confusion for many Excel users. Row column are different, height and width are different. Height means how many number of rows you want, because right now we want to form a table. Height and width we use whenever we want to form a table. When you don't want to form a table and you just want to, give the movement, you don't use it. So I say my table will have 7 rows. How many columns? Because it is asking for the width. Well, you just write here 1. Right? So now I go and press Ctrl Shift Enter. Finally, now why I press the Ctrl Shift Enter? Let me press Enter. You see that you will get the error. Now here we are using the offset as an array. Basically, even you know that we are going to use here multiple cells. So you have to use the multiple cells, in a single cell. You got to use Ctrl Shift Enter. If you remember the transpose function also we have used like that. So Ctrl Shift Enter is the way you use it. And now obviously I see only 100. Now your question should come that what about the rest of the values? Well, the rest of the values are also there. You just need to go here and you need to press F9. Right? So they are there, right? Now the thing is, why I'm pressing F9? Just to show you this. Otherwise function knows its job. For example, this is my table. Let me copy this and let me paste it here. This is the actual output, guys, right? So if I go and want to sum this, sum will also happen. If I say that sum this, make sure you press Ctrl Shift Enter. You get the 2102. So basically all the values which it is picking up, you can add them. You want to find the max number here, you can use the max. So this is the arrays, this picks up the everything. So function is working. Right now let me just simply undo it. This is your offset function. Now let's say I want to form a table which should give me these values. Then what will you do? You will first go on the 100. So we can write offset, start from E1, 0, 0. Before you go for the height and the width, I want to check whether I am on the correct cell or not, Once I do that, then I will go further. Spelling mistake again. Yeah, so I got the 100, which is good now. So now what I will do, I will go in the height and the width. So in the height and the width now, I will use how many rows I have? 2. How many width? How many columns? 1, 2 and 3. So you have now 2 rows and 3 columns. I go and press Ctrl Shift Enter. Now you can see that if I go and press F9, I have my table 100, 4, 200 and then 5 and then the J. All the values are coming, right? So this is how, when we want to pick up the table, we can use the offset. I'll tell you the use of it, don't worry, but you should first get comfortable with this. So height and width, can I go and copy the same stuff here? Can I just copy this again and paste it here for your reference? So what will be the height now? Height means, you should not get confused, number of rows you need in your table, and the width, number of columns you need in your table. And make sure, please note, height and width starts with 1 and rows and columns parameters starts with 0, right? So sometimes people get confused with the row and the height. They think they are same. No, they are not same. Height means how many rows you need. This row means that how many rows you want to move, right? So movement can be in the upward direction, it can be in the downward direction, isn't it, guys? So this is what you need to take care of it. Now for example, if I have to, I'll show you now. Let's do some examples. Now let's say that I want to pick up these names which I'm going to write here. Okay, so I go and write something, let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Jan, Feb, or maybe some number, Now what I want is, you need to prepare a function which picks up this table, but with a condition, because even I know that this is very easy. You just go and write offset and you give the reference and you say 0, 0, because that will take us to the first cell MON value, and from there we will simply say that I need 8 rows and 1 column, and I go press Ctrl Shift Enter, and then if I go and press F9, my table is coming. But I have a condition. It's not going to be so easy. The condition is, if I go and put some more values here, this formula should automatically start picking those values as well. So how will you do that? Now this is what we need to see. So we are saying that our formula should be dynamic. right? If I go and delete this, you can see that if I go and press F9, I start getting 0, 0, 0. Obviously, because these cells, these row numbers 5, 6, 7, 8 all are coming empty. So how we can do that? Now, let me undo it. Now guys, if you think on this, this is actually not such a tough task. It is very easy, because if I can somehow make my row numbers automatic, which means that the number of rows, the parameter which it is right now using 8, if this can also reform, reshape according to the data, then that's it. What else you need, right? So can you not say here that count A from here till, maybe let's say I give it a range called 100, because I know my table will not exceed after A100. So you are done. Let me go and press F9. You can see here, you got here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Jan, Feb 77, right? Done? Okay. Now let me undo it. Now I go and put some value here. Let's say HH, MM, JJ. If I go back here and I want to see what is the output, you have HH, MM, JJ as well coming here automatically. And why it is so? Well, it's because of the reason that if I go and select this count A and I go and press F9, you see that, as I said, F9 is a shortcut key which gives you the result. So you can also use this other than going to the formula and the evaluate formula, but make sure you undo it after doing it. After checking the value, you come back to your formula. Now it returns me 11. So basically I'm saying that if I start from here, I need the 11 rows. And I want to be on the same column, one column. So it's picking up the one column and the 11 number of rows. Isn't it? And that is what you needed it. So you have made the formula dynamic. Right? So this picks up the entire data. Now what if I want to, let's go in the another exercise. Now what I want to do is, I have a data here and I have a data here as well. Right? Now you want to make sure that you go and write the function in such a way that if your data starts showing in the left to right direction also, which means if the data moves column wise also, it should pick up. So how will you do it? Offset reference 0, 0, because I want to start from Monday. I go and check Monday is coming. Yes. After that, now for the rows you use the count A, count all. So I go and let's say use this entire range, and then the width. Now what is the width right now? The width is right now 2. I can write here 2, no doubt. I can press Ctrl Shift Enter and I can see my formula is picking all the values, isn't it? Yes, it's picking all the values, right? But if I go and add one more column, for example, I go and write here one more column, and this time it is 6, 6, let's say. Is this going to change, guys? Obviously not, because then you have to make sure that this column should be the number of, sorry, not the column, but the width actually. Width actually means number of columns. That should be 3, So if I go and write here 3 and I go press Ctrl Shift Enter, and now I go here and I press F9, you can see that I start getting the new values also. Monday 4, 6, 6, this is the first row, then the second row is coming, But how to make this automated? How to make this on the auto mode, automatic? So obviously very simple. You will go and put the formula in the width as well. So what you will do, you will say count A, and then you say that because these are your headers, headers will always be there if the data goes below it. So I'm just going to count my 1 to 1, the entire row basically. Or maybe I can go and if I know that my limit, this is the maximum limit I can give, because I cannot expect more than this columns in my table. So just I'm giving the extra buffer, and this is also okay. Now you press Ctrl Shift Enter. So now I go and check that. Now you can see that I got all the values. If I go and write here test, and I go and write here, I drag this and I come back to this, I press F9, you can see that the table is expanding automatically. Now why we are learning this, let me give you a hint, because this can be used in your charts and the pivots, because they use the data. Pivots also use the data, charts also use the data. So any point in time you want to pick up some specific data, you can use this offset function. We will discuss about it. Right? Now in the same example, in the same this exercise guys, what if I ask you that so this is your, let me change the exercise to exercise 3. Now this shows this is giving me the entire table, right? Column wise, entire table, row and column wise, isn't it? But now the thing is, what if you need the top 50% data only? Only the top 50%. Right? If you have an odd number, like we have 11 rows, so 50% of 11 would be what? If you divide 11 by 2, it's going to give you 5.5. So you can round up, you can use the round function. You can say that we will just go and use the round function, and we say round this number by 0 digit. Right? So 0 means, it will round up when you write 0. So it says that for the 5.5 I will have the 6. That's okay for me. And if you have an even number, obviously there will be no question then, because if you, let's say, divide 12 by 2, it's going to come as 6 only. So you don't need the round then, right? Round will also give you the same value. So idea is, you have to now pick up, if you have to pick up the 50% data, right? For example, forget about this particular area. I just want the 50% from here. So how will you do? Top 50% always. You can use the offset, and you go in the reference and you say that I want the top, so 0 0. This takes me to the Monday, and after from here I count everything. So I say count A1 to, let's say, A100, but divided by 2, right? Because I need the half, right? And then the width. So what is the width? Width will remain 1. I'm not going column wise. Otherwise, you can also make this dynamic. Control Shift Enter. And now, so obviously this, when you run this function, if I go and show you, let me select that and press F9. This is 5.5 telling me, right? So 5.5 will create a problem. You can use the round function here inside this. Let's convert this into a whole number, and comma and 0, as I showed you the round function. Control Shift Enter. And now if I go and press F9, you see that you get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and January. 6 rows it has picked up. Now if I go and add some more values here, for example, I go and write here something like this, now, so I go and create YY. Now ideally it should pick the top 50%, so that means your January, February, from Monday up till this February should come. And as expected, we got the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Jan. So Feb, your table is automatically expanding. This is a very good thing today, because now you can control the data. If you want to display your chart, only the top 50% data, only the top 5 items, only the top 10 items, or maybe you want to make a pivot, the summary report only on the first 10 rows, first 1000 rows, you can do that using the offset, right? So now when I go and press F4, F9, you see what will happen Monday, Tuesday, guys. This is how it is. Okay, so now one more thing. So this picks up the top 50%. Now similarly we want to find bottom 50%. You give it a try. How you can get the bottom 50%? So you, as I said, that you can write here something, you know. So I want, let's say I write here YYUU, whatever. It should pick up the bottom 50%. That means it should pick up, if we have 8 rows, it should pick 5, 6, 7, 8. This is what you need to now do it.